Hello, everybody. So, I hear these type of questions at least twice a week from people living in Toronto or planning on living in Toronto, and these questions may be controversial. But tune in, tell me what you think in the comments, and let's begin. These questions are Toronto people just really mean? Did they or do they not care about other people? Do people just hate me in general in Toronto? I mean, check out this Reddit post straight out from Google. Honestly, there could be many opinions with this. I've lived here for 4 years now, and I can tell you my insight on whether I think that Torontonians are just bad people or maybe a different insight. But before we dive right into the video, please like and subscribe to my channel. It really helps my channel out, and I can come back with more contents like this related to Toronto real estate and Toronto living. If you want to get in contact with me, and if you've been watching my video, you would know in the details comment below. You can contact me using the contact information. And as well, you can set up a meeting with me on my website at voiceinrealestate.ca. I am always all ears and ready to talk. Okay, so this topic seems to be always on surface for a lot of people. Controversial or not, I've heard this so many times from people who have recently moved from abroad or from a different province, or people just really living here. They've either heard or experienced that Toronto people are heartless, or they are cold, or they are rude, and I am here to tell you about what I think personally. Now, to tell you more about my own perspective and experience, I've moved around my entire life, from being born in Korea and then being raised there for until I was in elementary school, then moving to New Brunswick, moving around within New Brunswick, and then moving to Waterloo in Ontario, and then finally settling here in Toronto. Hey, moving around isn't easy, and not only for the reasons of actual moving, because that is also a lot of work, but getting adjusted to the new environment. New environment includes definitely the people that live in those areas, as well as amenities and all of this stuff. I would say that it was definitely a big adjustment for me moving from New Brunswick to Toronto in terms of social aspects and the dynamics. I've grown up in my original country, Korea, as mentioned, and moved to New Brunswick as a young child. I don't know what it was that made it easier of a process than expected to settle into a new country, new province, new city. It may have been the people that greeted us, could have been the fact that my parents had businesses back there and everybody recognized us. And overall, this was sort of a thing where I would walk into a grocery store and a lot of people would recognize me. We have a small conversation, you can't really leave without saying hi to at least one person that you know. And they stood up for any different treatment that some people have treated us with and my family had to face, and I always felt like I was included, me and my family, from the very get-go, really. Personally, however, I don't have a lot of friends back there now where I keep in touch with. I mean, it's been a few years since I moved away from it. And my best friends are in New Brunswick, my two beautiful twin angels, you know who you are. I am so fortunate to have them, but I found that keeping in touch with a few people that I was close with too, it's hard to keep in touch, given the distance and everything. But overall, my experience living in New Brunswick outside of Toronto has been pretty great. I have found that the New Brunswickers are very genuine with everything that they do. For example, oh my gosh, my mom actually might not like it when I talk about this, but my mom mentioned that it was her, she was working one day And she mentioned to her client that it was her anniversary. And, my family doesn't really celebrate anniversaries and stuff. The customer at the time, his name was David, and he was a loyal customer of ours. He heard that and realized that my mom was working on her anniversary. He went ahead and placed an order and then said he will be back. A few minutes later, he comes back with a bouquet of flowers and chocolates. And that little act of kindness has really paid off. They really talk about it to this day. It's probably been about 10 years. My parents still talk about it, and it's one of those sweet memories that we have that we cannot let go yet. But you can tell from even that little act that there's a lot of sincerity in how people act, and because there's less people, you definitely start to matter a bit more to people that are residing there. Incidents like this have happened many, many times. People are so sweet, go out of their way. I mean to clarify here. We've got a lot of connections from New Brunswick to this day, mostly from a restaurant or what our family has run. So or staffs of our restaurant. I did mention the Twin Angels that I love and I keep to myself. They are not family related, but a lot of our connections have been from the business and from people that love us, and we love them. So I did want to mention, if you're watching and I was like, okay, well, I don't keep in touch, that doesn't mean that. I mean, like, from my school. Yay, school. Okay, I found that moving from Korea to New Brunswick was more of a cultural difference and me learning the culture than feeling like I didn't click with people or I wasn't accepted or I felt like people were being cold to me. Now, after my high school, I've moved on to Waterloo. I went to Laurier for music therapy. Honestly, Waterloo gave me this type of similar vibe with New Brunswick, but definitely a faster paced and more people. This was more of a university years and that feel. And that is totally okay. And I was ready to basically finish my degree and then go do something that I am not now, but I am happy to be here too, So things have happened during my university years that has changed my, primary role in job, but I am so happy to be here. Let's move on from that. That'll be in another video. Now, to go back, when I moved to Toronto, I honestly had quite a bit of a hard time fitting in. I felt like I didn't know where to start, or I didn't know if I was even wanted by people. I am also fortunate in that I have 2 different groups that I thought of that I could actually be joining because of my Korean fluency and English. I knew that there was the multicultural Canadian, group and also the Korean community in Toronto that I could get involved with. Moving to Toronto, the intimidation is also there, and it didn't really help when we encountered a few episodes where we really didn't feel welcome to be here. For example, we went to a car dealership. We will just say a car dealership. I don't want to mention where it was. It was in Thornhill. And the receptionist at the desk was there and completely ignored our whole family for the first 15 minutes at least. We were literally walking around, wandering around the floor, and nobody asked me if we want help. So then I go up to the receptionist and say, hey, is anyone on the floor able to help us? And mind you, we were the only ones there. She insisted that, oh yeah, we can help you. Do you want a Chinese person to come and help? And I honestly did not know how to respond in that split of a second. To me, it didn't make sense that this person who I'm talking in English with, and I'm pretty fluent in English, I think, would ask me that. And mind you, I wasn't even speaking Korean with my parents. It was literally just her and I. And when my parents and I were conversing, we were talking in English. So I was very confused the entire time.
Okay, I'm just gonna put put half of my face, actually. Let's just do this. Would be, best for both of us. I was just about to head to bed, and I wanted to watch everything, and then I did, and then I realized that I have to film this part because I was supposed to do it, and I guess it went missing. So I meant to say, yes, that was quite of a shocking experience for me, when I experienced that at a car dealership in Thornhill. And I found it a little bit very, like, hurtful. After that incident, I decided to leave with my parents, and then that was it. The manager called me and apologized and wanted me to come back, but I just didn't want to. So that was that. And then we kind of ended, like, I went to go to a different dealership to get my car. However, these incidents do happen. Something to be mindful of is New Brunswick, there's less people, and there's more chance of people knowing each other and, crisscrossing, basically. But I find that in Toronto, there's more people, and even though there's smaller social circles, there's definitely a lot of groups out there and people. And with that, it comes with, more, there's a lot of great people, but a lot of, different way of thinking people, right? So it's just important to notice that and remember that not everyone can be nice in every city, especially big cities. I know that there's people, you just, I know that it can be, cut that part again. I know that it can be a difficult process in order for you to create that friendship with people, but I find that in Toronto, once you get into that niche, once you get into that friend group, they keep in touch. It's the same kind of friendship that you would get with some amazing people as well.
So, if you ask me, are Torontonians mean? I would definitely tell you no. I don't think so personally. I don't think it's because they live in Toronto, just because you move from a different country or different place, you decide to be mean. But I think it definitely plays a role in, that Toronto, a lot of people come and go a lot. It's more of a protective mechanism that people use for themselves so that they don't give too much of themselves, because things are changing all the time so rapidly. And I have realized myself, sometimes mindlessly being a bit more ignorant of the people around me. Not ignorant, but more not being able to, devour them the same amount of attention that I was able to give them in New Brunswick. But also, I have had to come in terms with myself that, I can't always keep track of other people and be focused on other people when my other life is, happening, and there's so many other people coming and going in life. But I understand the importance of taking care of the ones that are with you, but it's finding that middle ground where you're able to take care of them, but also able to take care of yourself so that you're not too focused on other people and losing yourself through that. So, Torontonians, I personally think that once you get close with people, people are very, very friendly. They're just like other people around the world, but it's just a protective wall that people put on maybe the first time you meet them. But you know what? I've met amazing people in Toronto, and I don't really agree that Torontonians are all that bad. And honestly, I think that if you are having a hard time, you know what? I've heard of a lot of people saying, hey, I don't think Toronto is for me. I need to move away from this. I feel very rejected here and all this. I've heard this so many times in Toronto. If you thought about that and you just or maybe you just don't know where to start, I would suggest going on meetup.com. This is not a sponsor or anything like that, but I want to give you just a heads up. Like, you can find Facebook groups that you think that you match with. So I identify myself very much with Korean culture, Asian culture, and as well, Canadians, Korean Canadian. And, I'm very interested in real estate. And so finding groups like that, or like right now I'm trying to 2023 resolution, trying to find a group for, exercising, badminton, and things like that, right? So it's very important that you put yourself out there. And if you get rejected, no problem. There's like, so many, so many groups out there that you can join. So, if you need to just, talk it out honestly about Toronto living and stuff, you can contact me. We can talk. I don't mind. And I hope that you find this video very helpful and you decide to stay in this beautiful town and city and give it a chance. A little bit more, maybe a little bit more, and it will really be better. But if you are honestly like, okay, I know it's over, then it's over, right? Thank you everybody so much for watching my video. And if you have any questions or concerns, or you just want to talk it out, I am here. You can contact me with all of this info. And until next time, annyeong!